Good morning, class. So, can anybody tell me what we've been learning throughout the week? Good job, we are. So, this week we've been learning about the scientific method. Can anybody tell Miss Madison what some of the steps are that we've already covered? Yes? Making predictions, yes. So, we have covered making predictions. And what is that? Good job. So making predictions are what you think will happen in an experiment. Can anybody tell me something else we've covered this week? Yes? We have. We've been making observations. And what step of that is that in the scientific method process? The second. Can anybody help our friend out? It is. So making observations is the first step in the scientific process. So now that we have two that we've already gone over, can anybody tell me what the other three are that we've done? Yes? Asking questions. Good job. And why do you think we ask questions during the scientific method process? Yeah, so that we can get an answer. Good job. And what else have we done? Yes, we have formed hypothesis. And what's important when making a hypothesis? It has to be what? Yes? Yes, it's got to be testable. So our hypotheses have to be testable. And so what is the last thing we've covered before today? Can anybody tell me? Yes, we have performed experiments. So we've conducted an experiment. So let's put our predictions to the test. Can anybody tell me what they might think we'll be going over today? It's the last step. Can anybody look around the room? There might be a guide. Yes, what do you think we're going to be doing today? That's right, we're going to be drawing conclusions and recording data. Okay, so today, here's our standards. So, matter and its interactions, plan and conduct an investigation to describe and classify different kinds of materials by their observable properties. And we will analyze data obtained from testing different materials to determine which materials have the property that are best suited for an intended purpose. So what does that mean? So today, you guys, the students, will be able to evaluate experiments and write a conclusion. So basically, we're recording data. We're recording what we do. So can you guys repeat after me? I will draw conclusions and record data. Okay, so Miss Maddie's gonna play the video that we played all week, so you guys can stand up. Stand up and get ready to dance and learn so that Miss Maddie can play the video, so that we can review the steps of the scientific method. Okay, so now that we have done and gone over what we're going to be doing today, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the last step. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the last step in the scientific method, drawing conclusions and recording data. So, recording data is very important when doing science experiments. It's one of the most important steps in the scientific method. Does anybody know why? Okay, so recording data is important because it helps us remember key things that happened in an experiment. So, based on our data, we can draw conclusions about what happened. So, for example, an experiment that we did the other day was the coins. So we know that the quarter held the most water. So why is that? We can draw a conclusion and say that because the quarter was bigger than all the other coins, that's why it held the most water. So together, I'm going to hand you guys your scientific journals. And this is the scientific journal that we've had throughout the week. And we have, we've conducted plenty of experiments in it, but we have not recorded data or drawn conclusions all week. So today will be the first day that we do that. So here you guys all get your journals. I want you to go back and look at your journals and see if we've recorded any data in here. Can everybody do that for me? Look in your journals and see if we've recorded any data. Good job. So we haven't recorded any data. So how do we know what happened in these experiments? How are we supposed to draw conclusions based on what the outcomes of our experiments were if we don't have any proof that that happened? So it's very important that we record our data. So today we're going to be performing a sink or float activity. So if you guys would please separate into the groups that you were separated into yesterday, the groups of 4, and then have a seat and put your hand on your desk when you're ready so that Miss Maddie knows that everyone is ready and prepared to learn. Thank you guys. Okay, so before Miss Maddie hands out the material, she wants to explain what's going to happen first. So everybody turn to day 4 in your journal. So this is just me narrating. This would be day 4, the sink or float experiment. Okay, so before Miss Maddie hands you all the material, she wants to explain the experiment. That way, you guys can finish the steps so that you guys can do the first 4 steps of the scientific method before we get to these last 2, steps 5 and 6, which are conduct an experiment, record data, and draw conclusions. So Miss Maddie has all of her materials right here. And what we're going to do today is we're going to see if items sink when you put them in water or if they float. So our items today, we have a penny, a paper clip, a pencil, a ping pong ball, a rock, a spoon, and a feather. So go to your first step. What's the first step of the scientific method? Yes. Yes, you are correct. It's make an observation. So I want you guys to make an observation of the materials that we're using and write down what you see. Write everything down that you see. So do that, you and your group. Well, you do it yourself, but you're sitting in your groups. Okay, so now that we've done that, I want you to ask a question. What do you want to know? And they have these spots for them to write them in. All right, so next, once you've asked your question, I want you to form a hypothesis. Form a hypothesis. And can anybody tell me what's important other than being testable? What's another really key, really important part of our hypothesis statements? Yes? Good, yes. It has to be an if-then statement. And we know this. If you guys need help, you can turn to the days before because we've done this already. So you guys should be good to go. If you guys have any questions, just raise your hand. I'll be here to help. Okay, so now that we've formed our hypothesis, I want you to turn to this page. This page. So now we're going to make our predictions. And they have spots for them to make their predictions, whether they think the object is going to sink or float. Okay, so this table right here, it has the objects and then a spot for you to make your predictions. So if you think your object is going to sink, I want you to put a check underneath the sink. If you think it's going to float, put a check under the float column. So once you guys have done that, please raise your hand so that I can start handing out materials and explaining what we're going to do next. So everyone's made their predictions. Good job. Okay, so now it's time to conduct the experiment and record our data. So we're going to record our data after we do the experiment. So for this experiment, Miss Maddie's going to give you a tub of water. It's going to be clear, it's going to be see-through, that way you guys can see whether something sinks or whether it floats. So it doesn't matter what order you decide to drop your items in, but I want everyone to have a chance to drop an object in because there are enough objects for everybody to do it. I want us to be extra careful with this water. We don't want to knock it on the floor because that'll be a big mess. If something does happen, just raise your hand. Miss Maddie will come around, she'll clean it up, and we'll get you guys set back up again. So now I'm going to hand out your materials. I'm not going to really hand them out because I don't have that many materials right now, but that's what I would do. So hand out their materials. Okay, so once you guys have your materials, you can go ahead and begin dropping all your stuff, all your materials. So your ping pong ball, your pencil, drop it in the water. And then in this column right here, once you're done, in this column where it says record results, I want you guys to put a check whether it sank or float. I want you to put whether it sank or whether it floated. So you guys record your results because that's one of the last processes that we're covering today. So record your results so that we can see how important it is. So this is when they'd be doing their experiment, and then when they're done, they're recording whether it sank or whether it floated. I'm saying floated. So once you guys have done that, I want you to turn to the last page of your scientific journal. This is one of the key spots that you guys are going to we're going to record our data again, and we're going to cut out the objects. And if your object floated, we're going to cut the object out and paste it to the top of the water. Does anyone know why we wouldn't put it at the bottom? Right, because if it was under the water, then that means that it sank. So if your object sank, we're going to cut it out and paste it to the bottom of this. And then if it floated, we're going to cut it out and paste it to the top. That way we're recording our data so that we have something to go back on and look at. Okay, so now that we've recorded our data, we are going to turn our journals over. That way we can write on the back. I want you to draw a conclusion. We've made a hypothesis, we've observed, we've conducted our experiments, we recorded our data, we've made predictions, we asked questions. Now I want you guys to come up with a conclusion. So why did some objects sink and some objects float? We've written our hypothesis, and that's our if-then statement. So if our hypothesis is testable, then that's what we've just done. We've tested our hypothesis. So now I want you guys to draw a conclusion on the back of this, and then when you all have finished, Miss Maddie will pick them up so that she can look over them when she goes home tonight. So you guys are free to do that. And then now I'm gonna pick up, they would have drawn their conclusions, and I'm gonna pick up their journals. That way I can go home and look and make sure they've done everything correctly, or at least put forth the effort to. And then we'll move on to the assessment. Okay guys, so for this part, now that Miss Maddie's picked up all of your scientific journals, don't worry, you'll get them back after she looks at them. I am going to hand each of you guys an index card. So Miss Maddie is going to give you an index card. I want you to, what's the first thing we do when we grab paper? Or when we get a paper, what's the first thing we should do? Yes. So the first thing we should do is write our names on our paper. So when you get your paper, the first thing I want you to do is write your name. And then I want you to write the 6 steps of the scientific method. Write them all down. I want you guys to try to put them in order because that's what we've been doing all week. So here you go. And I'm handing them each an index card. For my differentiation, the scientific method would fail, but it would be posted right here. That way if anyone needs help, they can look off that. That way their process doesn't look different from everyone else's. So then I pick them up and we do the closing. Okay guys, so what did we learn throughout the week? Yes, that is what we did. So we did the scientific method. So do we think we're scientists now? Can we go and do science? Did you guys have fun this week? Yes, you did. Thank you. So did we accomplish our goal for today? Did we draw conclusions and record data? Yes, we did. Okay, so everybody repeat after me. I can draw conclusions and record data. So now you guys are one step closer to being scientists. Thank you guys and have a great week.